We're going to be making the pattern for our coffee koozies. A piece of printer paper or scrap paper. You want to fold it hot dog style, which is the long ways. We're going to measure over 3 1/4 inches. On the edge of your paper, from the very top, we're just going to mark 6 1/2 inches, 2 1/4 inches. Now we're going to connect the two. We're going to connect the end of this line to our dot up here. Now we have to add some extra down here for when we box our bottom so it sits nice and flat. From our line right here, we're going to go down on the fold of our paper and we're going to just mark down 1 inch. Okay, and from that mark that we made, we're going to go over 1 1/4 inches. All right, so then we need to draw our line up, should be 1 inch. Don't use your fabric scissors, obviously. We want to just use some craft scissors to cut this out. Let's cut out our pieces. We're going to need 2 outer fabrics and 2 lining fabrics. And you're going to also need 2 batting pieces. Go ahead and start quilting our outer pieces. And that is if you choose to, you don't have to. You can use fusible fleece, but I'm using some batting that I have. And I like to Franken batting my pieces together if I don't have big enough pieces. So you just get scrap pieces of batting and you just do a zigzag stitch all the way down it. And that will give you a larger piece of batting to work with. I'm going to repeat that for this piece as well. Now we just want to cut out our piece from our batting and then we'll move on to the next step. Piece number 1 done. We're going to put them pretty side to pretty side. I'm going to pin now on our straight sides, not the top and not these boxy corners. Start from the top, go all the way down the edge, skip this boxy part, and then sew this straight part, and then continue. We're going to sew this side as well. Now that we have our pieces sewn together, we're going to open up the corners and we're going to box it out. I like to open my seams like this. So this is running open and this one is running open as well. Now it's getting a little bulky, so I'm going to just clip it. It's easier for me than using pins, but if you want to use pins, that's totally fine too. And now we're going to just run a straight stitch along each of these straight edges. So we have our outer piece done now, and we're going to move on to our lining piece. So with our lining pieces, we're going to put them pretty side to pretty side. I'm going to pin along the edge. I'm going to pin on the bottom. When I get to the next edge, I have to remember to leave an opening so we can turn our koozie out when we're done. So the way I like to do that is I like to put 2 pins where I want to start, where I want to leave my opening. So I'm going to put 2 pins like that. So I'm coming up to my opening and I'm going to just do a back stitch. And then I'm going to leave about 2.5 inch opening, and then I'm going to start with the back stitch again. Alright, so now we're going to do the same for our corners. We should have a little opening. We're going to box our corners. I feel like opening up the seams just helps it lay a little bit more flatter in the end and keeps everything nice and tidy. You can nest your seams. That's optional too. It's what your preference is. My preference is opening up my seams. And y'all know me, I'm not the sewing police. I'm not going to tell you it's wrong or right or you do it my way. This is a project that you're doing. If whatever method you find is easier, I want you to do it. But I'm just letting you know what's easier for me. Do you see how my seams are running flat all the way down the entirety? It's just going to make it sit flat, especially on the bottom when we have our cup in it. Being that we're going to be turning our project out of the lining, I want the lining to be on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my outer piece the right side out. I'm going to push out my corners. So we have our little coffee sleeve right now. And we're going to just put it, we're going to match our boxes up, we're going to match our seams up. Inside, we're going to stuff it in our lining. Pretty side to pretty side. See, my pretty side is on the outside, my pretty side's on the inside, and they're touching. Make sure our seams from our outer and our inner are touching and lining up. Again, whatever method you use for your seams, do it now. I opened mine up, so I'm going to open them up on the sides right here. To run a straight stitch around the top. We're going to pull our outer through our lining. Use a chopstick or something pointy but not your scissors to poke out your corners in your outer piece. Now we want to poke out our lining corners. Then we want to close our hole that we had in our lining. So just run a straight stitch along that opening. All right, we're almost done, but we have to do one more step. And of course, it's optional, but I like to do it. I think it gives it a really good look, a finished look. I like to top stitch. If y'all know me, I like to top stitch. So we're going to top stitch around the top of our koozie. And that's just going to make sure our lining stays down where it needs to go inside our koozie. And a little trick. Okay, let me see if I can explain it where it makes sense. So if I just put this in there and top stitched it, on the top part, I would see my bobbin thread. To me, my bobbin thread and my top thread look totally different when you sew with it. I don't want to see my bobbin thread on the top. I want to see my top thread on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it inside out. So now when I go to top stitch it, my top thread is going to be sitting on the outside. This really takes about 30 minutes. It doesn't take long at all. Thanks for watching.